Hello. Behind me you can see over here, this is our property for our Kamogawa camp. And most of our camp, we're at this house and on this land down here playing games, playing soccer, catching bugs, catching frogs, or doing many different activities like the zip line. But some other nice things that we do when we're out here in nature is go for some hikes, because Kamogawa is really beautiful. Lots of beautiful Japanese farms and countryside and mountains. There's a lot of really great things to see. So I'm gonna go on a hike right now. Why don't you come with me? So this whole area is, mostly a farming community. It's a mountainy area, but it's a very big farming community. You can see lots of rice paddies. We'll see some rice paddies soon, but you can also see the farmers that live in this area. They plant all sorts of different crops, many different fruits and vegetables. We see melons, we see cabbage, we see lots of different fruit trees, persimmons and things like that. So that, they're all along these roads. You can always see a lot of different plants growing. It's really nice to see. It's really nice when you get out of the city and you have a chance to hear some of the noises. We can still hear some people around. You might hear some trucks driving by or some tools being used, but for the most part, out here in Kamogawa, it's really quiet and peaceful, and you can hear, frogs and insects and birds. It's really beautiful. So let's just sit here for a second and enjoy that sound. All right, let's keep going. It's really interesting when you come to a new place, places like the Kamogawa, really anywhere. I always like to look around at the different colors that I can see, because every place in the world, even every forest, they all have sort of a different palette of colors. So you look around and you see, we see obviously a lot of green because we're here in the forest, but there's some really sort of light brown, some beige colors from the bamboo. There's darker greens in the shady areas. As you look at the mountains kind of going back in the distance, you can see sort of the wetness in the air that makes those mountains in the distance look a little hazy. Over here I saw some really pretty colors. Let me jump over here. Let me grab this guy really fast. Kamogawa has a lot of really interesting bugs. And here, there's one of them. This is a stick bug. This is a stick bug. So here, I'm going to get him a little close so you can see. He's probably going to jump right away. He's very camouflaged. You can see he's that same color as like the brown bamboo. And he looks a lot like a stick or a leaf, so he can hide from birds and other animals that might try to grab him. All right, let's see if he'll jump away now. There you go, buddy. There you go. All right. But over here, I saw some really pretty colors, on the ground. You can see these green leaves have this really pretty dark red color that goes around the outside of them. So you can see, that's a really interesting color. If you were drawing a leaf at your house, you might not think to color it this way with the red going up the middle and on the leaves, but you can see in nature there's some really beautiful colors that we can sometimes see that you might not expect. All right, let's look over here. This is interesting. We see this a lot in Kamogawa. This is an electric fence. This is an electric fence to protect this rice paddy. So if we look over here, we can see the big rice paddy field where they're growing the rice. It looks like it's growing really, really nicely. And they want to keep animals like wild boar out. And so what they do is they put these metal fences that run along here, and then through these wires there's electricity that's running. And then that way, if a monkey or a boar or something like that comes and touches it, it'll zap them a little bit, not too bad, but a little bit, and then they'll know, ooh, I should stay away. The other thing that they do is they put this sort of shiny tape, and that's also to scare away the animals, because it's this sort of sparkly, it blows in the wind and it can scare the animals away. Because the farmers are really trying to work hard to protect their rice paddy crops. We've been told by many farmers in this area that if a boar is like a big hairy pig, if a wild boar gets into the rice paddy, like if the wild boar came into this paddy right here, it would spoil that whole paddy. So the wild boar is really stinky, and they smell really, really bad. And when a boar gets in and starts eating through one area, the farmers have to cut down, sometimes the whole rest of that rice paddy to protect, because now it's no good once the boar comes in. So the farmers try to do their best to protect their crops, to protect their crops from animals that might come, like maybe deer or wild boar. All right, let's keep going. Over here you can see a farmer preparing his field. He's going around and chopping down the weeds and the plants that grow around the rice paddy to keep everything nice and tidy, and to make sure that you can get around really easily, and it's going to be all ready to harvest. Plants and animals have an interesting relationship with each other, because when we breathe in oxygen and we breathe out carbon dioxide, CO2. That's what the waste gas from our body that our bodies don't need. And plants, these green plants, any plant that's green, what they do is they take carbon dioxide from the air, and they use that carbon dioxide to help build themselves, to build their plant cells, and then they release oxygen back into the air. So we need the oxygen, and we don't need carbon dioxide, and the plants need carbon dioxide and don't need oxygen. So plants and animals, working together to, provide life for each other in the air that we breathe. So it's really nice when you come out to places like this, to the forest, or even to a park. It's really nice to be able to breathe in all this fresh air, because there's places like this have more oxygen in the air in the city, because there's just more plants to convert the CO2 into oxygen. This is a really nice spot to come and look. Over here we can see, remember we looked at the colors before? We saw some those leaves with the really beautiful color red. Well, there's some other really nice colors here too. If we look in here, you can find some really beautiful flowers that have sort of these pinkish purple flowers on them. That looks really, really nice. Over here we have a much lighter purple, almost looks like lavender. Oh, there's another stick bug right here. He just jumped away. Maybe a grasshopper. Down here even lower, we've got some more really tiny, beautiful flowers here. It's sort of a yellow in the middle, and almost the lightest color purple white around the petals. They're really nice. And then another plant that's really interesting to talk about when you're at Kamogawa are these ferns. You can see these plants. These ferns that have these shaped leaves like this, They're really interesting because, over time, over millions and millions of years, almost every kind of plant changes and almost every kind of animal changes. Humans, we've really only been here for about 70,000 years or so. Before that, we looked different. We looked like something different. But some plants and some animals barely change at all. An alligator, a crocodile. Crocodiles and alligators have been on the earth for millions of years, almost exactly the same way that they have been now. And the same with these ferns. These ferns, not just in Kamogawa, but ferns all around the world, they're such a good plant that they just don't need to change. Every year they stay pretty much the same. And the way that we know that these ferns look the same as they do, millions of years ago, is that dinosaurs would eat these ferns. Some plant-eating dinosaurs would eat them. And then scientists nowadays sometimes find big piles of dinosaur poop that has fossilized. Now it's like a stone. And inside that poop, we can see the things that the dinosaurs ate. And some of the things that they like to eat were these ferns. And we can see that the ferns today are basically exactly the same as the ferns from a long time ago. So when you look at a fern, you're looking at the exact same plant that dinosaurs ate millions and millions of years ago. All right, let's keep going. This is interesting. This is another, like we saw the electric fence before, to keep the animals out of the crops. This is a cage, basically, like a net cage, to keep the birds from coming in and eating. These are some fruit trees. We can even see, if we look carefully, there's some fruits growing there. To be honest, I'm not 100% sure what these are. They look like limes. But I don't know that for sure if they're limes or not. Over here on this side, we can also see some other really interesting fruiting plants on this tree. You can see them growing. They look like sort of spiky balls. Some more interesting fruits. I don't know what that is. We can see it growing on this tree right here. Here's another cute little garden that some farmer has said. I'm not sure what he's growing today. We notice year after year, sometimes it changes. If we look down here, there's another farm being prepared. Some more beautiful colors. Look at these flowers on this tree right here. You see some, almost looks like little fireworks. And if we look on this side, here's another interesting thing. This is a boar trap. Remember that I told you about the boar, those wild pigs, hairy pigs? This is a cage that's designed. It looks like it's open on both sides, so the boar could climb in from this side or it could climb through from the other side. But as soon as the boar goes inside that cage, it will trigger the trap and both of the doors will come slamming down and they'll catch that boar inside the cage. And then the farmer can come and collect the cage later and they can take the boar someplace else. So that's a really interesting thing. We see those sometimes around. Usually they hide them away. They try to figure out where the boars travel. Sometimes they can find like paths in the forest and then they put the cages on those paths because they know that's where the boar like to go. It's really pretty when we look out. It's nice, a lot of Kamogawa is mountains and valleys. And you can see down in here, there's sort of a valley where the mountains come down. A valley is sort of a V shape, right? V-shaped land where there's a mountain here and a mountain there, and it kind of comes down like that. So you can see, this is sort of a valley in Kamogawa where it comes down. But, because the farmers are growing things like rice, they need the ground to be really flat so they can collect water and keep sort of like pools, almost like a little pool for the rice you're growing. So what the farmers have to do is they have to go in and they have to carve the land to make these sort of step patterns. And you can see all over the world, anywhere that people grow rice, you'll usually see this sort of pattern, that sort of like steps, big sort of stairs or steps. And that's how the farmers are able to create places where they can grow the rice, where they can collect the water and where it won't run down. Oh, here's another beautiful color. That's a very bright yellow. Oh, and a little green frog. Oh, he hopped away. We'll keep looking for another frog. A really nice, pretty yellow color. Yeah, we see little green frogs sometimes, little cute green frogs. We'll have to keep our eyes open, see if we can find another one. Sometimes we see frogs, we see some different kinds of lizards, we see some snakes from time to time, a lot of animals, monkeys, deer, really lots and lots and lots of different types of animals, which is really nice to see. Interesting bug over here. Oh, he just climbed into the bushes. We'll keep looking for another one in a second. Bamboo is interesting. Bamboo is used a lot. It's a really important plant in Asia. It's used for building. It's used for a lot of different things, a lot of construction, because it's a really fast-growing plant. It's really strong. It's really straight, so you can use it for a lot of different things. But there's a lot of different types of bamboo, right? Some bamboo are really fat, big, fat, tall things. Some bamboo are very skinny. And if we look here, this is a type of bamboo, but it's a very skinny bamboo. You can see it's skinnier than my finger, right? Very, very skinny. But there might be some fun things we could do with this. If we took this up, maybe we could cut it up and we could use it for, a straw, or we could use it for all kinds of things, use it to build things with. So bamboo is a really, really fun plant, because you can just do so much with it. You can cut it up into little strips, you can use it like tubes, you can use it like pipes sometimes, you can cut it in half and make like a channel that you can pour water down. There's a lot of different uses. Let's keep our eyes open for some bigger bamboo too, so you can see that. It's nice when you're walking in the forest because you get places where it's bright and sunny. Oh, here's a beautiful butterfly. It's nice when you're walking in the forest, because there's some places that are, really nice and sunny and you can see a lot, but then there's also these sort of quiet, shady places where, it's sort of a little bit dark and it's kind of peaceful, so you can come in and you sort of relax and feel sort of relaxed walking through this sort of darker part of the forest. This is quite cool. You can see up here on the top there's some trees that are growing, but because of rain and wind and rain and things like that, some of this dirt is getting washed away, right? So we can see usually up here these would be roots, and these roots would be under the ground, right? Usually we see the tree, but we don't get to see the roots. But here you can see, because all of the dirt around those plants are gone, we can see all the roots sticking through. And probably eventually too much of the dirt will come and then some of those trees will fall down, probably. But it's really interesting when you can get to see some of those roots. Last year there were some really big storms that came through Japan, really big sort of typhoon storms, and you can see in this area they did a lot of damage. People's houses were damaged, and the community had to sort of work together to help each other, to fix each other's houses, fix each other's roofs. And you can see, look at this giant tree trunk right over here, and you can see where it cracked, and you can see where it fell over there. So you can imagine how strong the wind was to knock down that tree. It would have been pretty scary to be out here in that storm. If you look behind us, There's a sort of a blue colored roof right here from this house. That looks quite new. I think that roof has been replaced in this last year, and I think it was probably because of the storm. Now it looks like a pretty new roof. Careful. Sometimes when you're walking, there's little rough parts on the ground. Gotta be careful for those. But look, I see some thicker bamboo. Let's take a look at this. Here we can see, let me see if I can pull this out. Oh, it's pretty stuck. But let's take a look. You can see this bamboo. The other one was smaller than my finger, but this one's as big as maybe 3 fingers, you know, so this would be a lot of fun. You could cut it here. We could make tubes. You can use them to make instruments like drums or flutes or things like that. So that type of bamboo is really, really fun. I always, every time I come to Kamogawa, I always carve a flute every time I'm here. So that's always a fun activity. We can see through here. Look. This was we have to look kind of through this hole in the trees, but you can see that's the roof of a house. I'm not sure if we'll be able to see it when we go around the corner, but that's the roof of a house that was, probably damaged in the last year, and now it looks like they're getting ready to replace it. So, underneath the metal outside, there's sort of a plant inside, and they put the wooden beams on top of it, and then they lay the metal on top of that. And so you can see they're starting to repair that now, putting brand new wooden beams on it to get ready to make it nicer. Here's that pretty blue roof that we saw before. It's a really nice color. We can add that to our collection of Kamogawa colors. Sort of a teal blue. Oh, there we go. That's a great shot. You can see where they're working on this house, and you can see the brown color, the brown material. That's the metal that goes on top of the wood. You can see here they haven't replaced this one, so I'm guessing this was the side that was very badly damaged during the storm, and now you can see they're putting brand new wood. That way eventually they can lay new metal on top of it. Oh, here's another flower. Look at this. Oh, that one's amazing. Look at these. Really, really pretty. You can see here's another one that was just starting to pop out. So that means that all of these are the little buds that are eventually going to open up into flowers like these. That's really, really pretty. That white and sort of a dark, dark pink. Kind of a magenta color. I always like these plants. If you look, they look almost like a lily pad, but also what shape do you see when you look at this? It's a heart, right? Isn't that nice? All these little heart-shaped, they almost look like a lily from a lily pad that maybe you'd see like a frog hopping on, but they're these little nice heart-shaped leaves, and they have some flowers that grow with them as well. Really pretty. They look a little bit like a lampshade because they grow sort of pointing down like that. Very, very nice. All right, well, this is the end of our hike for now. I hope you enjoyed looking around and seeing, different parts of Kamogawa, seeing farmers working and seeing rice paddies and all the different types of plants that we can find and different kinds of animals that we can see. Yeah, so even when we're not at camp, I hope you enjoy watching this video, and so you can feel like maybe you can take a quick trip to Kamogawa anytime you want. All right. Thanks for coming with me. I'll see you next time.